State.
Oh, hell. Hello there. Good morning. Happy Thursday. What is up, America? The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. What up? How y'all doing? What a beautiful day outside. What a great weekend in sports we have. We've got NBA playoff games tonight. The NHL playoff bracket is set. The Dallas Stars grabbed the last playoff spot remaining yesterday evening. So we're about to start tuning into some hockey talk. Your Greenville Swamp Rabbits are in the playoffs. They drop a heartbreaker of a 4-3 OT loss last night to the Florida Everblades. Game number 4 as the Bits are down 2-1. Will take place Friday evening at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Then Game 5 on Saturday. Bits need to take both of those. Take both of them, go down to Florida up 3-2, and make sure you only need to win one of two down in Florida. So you can't lose again here in the Ville. We're going to talk about that. Coming up tomorrow evening, your Greenville Triumph will take on the Chattanooga Red Wolves, and the season, unfortunately, has not started off the way the Triumph anticipated it to do. No wins, 2 losses, and a draw to start the year. And the draw came on the road. 0-2 at the house. They try to change that coming up tomorrow when the Red Wolves of Chattanooga visit Legacy Early College. We're going to break that down. And coming up this afternoon, Don Smart plays forward for your Greenville Triumph, and he will be joining, well, we interviewed him yesterday afternoon. We will replay that interview for you coming up later on this afternoon. I'd say about 10:20 or so. About 10:20, did about 12 minutes with him. So we'll talk to Mr. Smart, Don Smart, coming up later on in the show. Look forward to that. We have got the NFL draft tonight. Got to get into our draft talk. We have got question marks about where the Carolina Panthers are going to go. Yesterday, I listened to a little bit. We got an email yesterday at what? So about 10:30 in the morning saying David Tepper is doing a press conference at noon. Now, Lonzo, that was the NFL version of the boss sending you an email saying, please be in my office at noon. I don't know how you guys operate, but Lonzo and I both immediately spin around in our chairs and start throwing out the conspiracy theories. I need all staff in the meeting room at noon. Do not be late. Lonzo and I are both like, okay, who's getting fired? What did we break?
We need to start doing a poll when this happens to find, because last time a major thing happened, I was really, really close about everything that, and suddenly here we are on the fan. So, yeah. I mean, we need to start a poll every time we get that email.
When they called us downstairs to tell us that we were switching over to the Fan Upstate, Lonzo and I had like 4 theories about what was going to happen. And 2 of them hit, 2 of them missed. This was that version. When we got the note at 10:30 yesterday morning. 10:30 yesterday morning, we got told that there was going to be a David Tepper press conference that was going to take place at noon. And we're like, why? Lonzo threw out the guess. Well, it's got to be something to do with the Rock Hill facility, right? Got to be something with Rock Hill. That's the only thing that, I mean, it would make sense. There's been a lot of talk about it. There's been a slowdown in news about it. It's got to be Rock Hill.
The reporters wanted it to be.
Oh, they tried. They tried hard. to get it to be about Rock Hill. Tepper opened up the presser, and basically, Lonzo, for the better part of 32 minutes and 17 seconds that we sat there and listened, said nothing at all. Nothing. He's like, I'm here to talk about football. They said, all right, let's talk about the football facility in Rock Hill. And Tepper said, yeah, I'm not here to talk about that. They asked me to stop talking about it. Out of respect to them, I won't. So let's talk about football. Great, Tep. Talk to me a little bit about Matt Rule and his future. Well, I think Matt's done a good job. He set up this coaching staff for success. I'm here to talk football.
By the way, in that whole thing, I got the point that I'm right about this. He's not getting rid of Matt Rule anytime soon.
No.
He's like, whether it takes 5, 6 years, I can't remember the exact quote, but he started adding years onto it that he knew it was a building process. So, yeah.
I genuinely listened to that. We got 22 minutes into this press conference, and I turned around to Zoe, and I was like, hey, what is the point of this? Actually, I lied to you. Zoe asked me, what is the point of this? And my answer to Lonzo was, billionaire needed his FaceTime. That's all I got. Because it's not like he was giving, people were asking him questions about the draft. And he's like, well, I'm going to leave that up to Matt Rule.
All right,
well, then what are you doing here?
Speaking of theories, he was late to the press conference. I believe he was going to talk about something totally different. He got some information before he got there, and he had already scheduled a press conference, so he went ahead and did it.
You think it was a Rock Hill press conference, and then they came to him and were like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, because the fact that he was late on the press conference that he scheduled and then suddenly gets out there and he says nothing, I think it was supposed to be about something else. He got that last-minute information and was like, okay, the reporters are already here. I got to go out here and say something.
I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense because he went 32 minutes and said nothing. I'm here to talk about football. All right, Coach, what can you tell us about the draft strategy tomorrow? Welp, I'm not. I'm going to leave that up to Scott. I'm going to leave that up to Matt. All right, Coach, what can you tell us about Sam Darnold playing quarterback next year? Well, again, that's a Matt and Sam decision. So next time you see Scott, why don't you talk to him about it? All right, Coach, what do you think about the run game next year? The only part where he actually talked about football was he very briefly got into Sam Darnold, and Lonzo almost gave him a standing ovation because he said, well, there's one thing that you guys aren't considering, which is last year, Sam Darnold was missing a guy that really helps open up the field. You know him as Christian McCaffrey. And Lonzo was like, boom, got him. Like, outstanding analysis. When you lose a Pro Bowl running back, you're not as good. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that hot take, Dave.
The sarcasm was worth the 30 minutes to me. But, if he hadn't said that, it was a complete waste of time. But for me, that added a little something there.
I genuinely don't like. I listened to a lot of that press conference. Actually, I think I listened to all of it with the exception of the last 2 minutes, which they cut off early.
Well, they wanted to go longer. The reporters wanted to go longer. And wait, we got something, and click, went to blank screen. No, we're done.
I honestly, I watched, like I said, I watched 30 of the 32 minutes of that press conference. And it got done, and my genuine reaction was, what was the point of that? What did we get out of that? What was the point here? I saw a lot of people trying to read into it, right? Read into it as something else other than what it was. Oh, this really told me that he was doing that. And I'm like, he didn't say anything. I think Lonzo was right. I think that yesterday, the plan was for him to come out. The plan was for him to talk about the Rock Hill scenario, I think that something happened that created a situation where he could not do that, where he couldn't do it. And so because he couldn't talk about the Rock Hill scenario, he had to do something because the reporters were gathered. And to call a presser and then cancel that presser is a really good way to get the conspiracy theories flying, right? What happens with me and Lonzo today if the 10:30 press conference called goes at noon and they go, oh, hey, never mind. He can't do it. We'd all be like, yo, what happened? What changed, right? So we had to do something. Reporters were like, hey, what can you tell us about Rock Hill? Well, I can't talk about Rock Hill as part of an agreement. All right. Well, what about the facility? Are you coming back to South Carolina? Well, I can tell you we will be in South Carolina in some way, shape, or form. We'll be at Wofford.
He did say that they'd be at Wofford.
Yep.
So that's still that's pretty cool because that's been up in the air every year, and you're not sure if they're going to be back or not. So we know they're going to be back there. So at least we're going to have them in the upstate another year.
Yep. So he said, yeah, we'll be in South Carolina in some way, shape, or form. Right, but is it going to be like the facility? Well, I can't talk about the facility. All right. What about a friend of the show? Will Pelagic was there. He's like, hey, what can you tell us about the bleed over, right? We're seeing 38K show up to Charlotte FC games, and it's this brand new culture and environment. Can you talk about how that's going to bleed over for the Panthers? Will you guys be taking lessons learned from the CFC crowd, creating this great environment and trying to put that into Charlotte? And he's like, well, I'll do a different press conference about CFC one day. I'll do a different press conference about Charlotte FC one day. But right now, I'm going to talk about football. All right, Coach, is Sam Darnold your starting quarterback next year? Well, I'll leave that question up to Matt. Matt can answer that question for you. That's not my question. Matt and Scott will answer that question. Ask Matt, ask Scott.
So, Rob Brown, as a former news reporter, how do you make this into a story? If you were sent out to cover this, how do you make this into a story?
I don't think it's a story. I mean, I think that there's a time once in a blue moon that you go to your news editor and you go, boss, there ain't nothing here, man. There ain't nothing here. He did a 30-minute press conference where he said nothing other than, hey, Matt Rule's the coach and he's going to be the coach. Scott Fitterer is the GM and he's going to be the GM. And I will leave all the draft day decisions up to them. Outside of that, there is no story, right? He got, again, I was listening to it, Zoe, from the perspective of, what am I going to get from this? I recorded the entire press conference, and I sat there. Lonzo, watch me. I sat there with a notepad marking, as I used to do when I was a journalist. 5 minutes, 32 seconds. Here's the question. Answer starts at 5:40. 6 minutes and 27 seconds. Here's the topic of the question. Answer starts at 6:57. And I kept waiting. Drop me something, Tep. Give me something to use here, Tep. I got a show to do tomorrow, Tep. Give me something. Something never showed up. There was never a something. Now, what I can tell you is you're going to hear a lot of, well, if you really read into his words, then you can speculate that this, you can assume that, you can theorize that this, that, or the other. And that's fine. That's what a lot of people in this industry do. I'm not judging them for it. It's a good way to run a show. It's a good way to get listeners. But I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to guess about what the premise was here. I agree with Zoe. I think to some degree that David Tepper had a theory, was going to be bringing something to the upstate's attention. I think he was going to say something yesterday with the intent of enlightening the upstate, the Carolinas. I think it got pulled out from underneath him, but he had to do something. He had to say something. And he had nothing to say. So we did the obvious. I'm here to talk about football, except for I'm going to leave all the football questions for Matt Rule and Scott Fitterer. So what are you here for, Tep? Lonzo and I were kind of laughing because after like 4 questions, the reporters kept circling back to the same 3 questions. Rock Hill, who's our draft pick? Who's the starting quarterback? And Tep would go, I can't talk about Rock Hill. It's going to be Sam Darnold unless it's not, and ask Matt Rule. And that was it. 30 minutes we did that. 30 minutes I sat there going, what? Just, you know, I could have been working here, Dave. I could have been working here, Dave. I could have been doing something.
Maybe he was testing the waters for running for president or something.
I gotta tell you, it was a hell of a political press conference. I'm gonna answer all your questions by directing all of your questions to other people that aren't me. Hey, Rob, who's our starting quarterback next year? Well, I'll tell you who it's not going to be. Osama bin Laden. That's who it's not going to be. Hey, Rob, do you think McCaffrey is back next year? You know what's going to be back next year? Freedom. Freedom's going to be back next year because I am here to bring it to you. For all other questions, ask anybody else within the organization, just not me. Come on, man. Come on. All right, let's take a break. Don Smart got an interview with the forward for the Greenville Triumph. My man is 34 years of age and outrunning 22-year-olds on the pitch lately. Genuinely chasing dudes down. I asked him how the hell he pulls that off because I'm 37 and have knocked myself out twice falling down in the last 2 years. Don Smart's out there chasing down college kids. I asked him how. I'm gonna play that for you coming up in an hour. I am Sex Panther. He is Lonzo. And this is the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
Is what's going
All
to
right,
be
kids, we are
Sports
back.
Talk for real sports fans.
Upstate.
From the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on The Fan Upstate. Mostly sunny skies today, a high of 77. Tonight, mostly clear, low near 52. Friday, sunshine, high of 77 degrees. Saturday, a slight chance for showers and storms, a high of 78. Sunday, chance for storms, a high of 77. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on The
Oh, okay.
Fan
Thank you,
Upstate.
Steven. I'll get Lonzo to turn him
Currently,
off when he comes
it's
back.
56.
Appreciate the heads up.
Welcome, golfers, to our coverage of the
Skrilla,
2022
welcome in, buddy.
Upstate
Happy
Golf
Friday
Card.
Eve.
Your
That is
access
indeed
to the best
correct.
courses in the Upstate. Now, let's head out to Greer
Never
and
seemed
see
like
how
you would
things are
not be
going at
interested in
Willow
building a
Creek.
dome in the
It's
future
a
because you like the
beautiful day
weather
out
here.
here at
That's
Willow
all I
Creek.
picked up
The
from the
sun is
conference. Yeah,
shining
that's
and
good
the
eye.
greens couldn't look
That's
any
good eye. I want to
better.
bring that up,
Thanks,
too.
Kevin.
I forgot to
Man,
bring
the
that
wind
up.
is
Actually, I had
whipping
that in my
today at the
notes. Good
Rock.
call, Trey.
Jimmy, what are you seeing out there?
Swirling and gusting out here today at the Rock. It will definitely be a test for the golfers.
Thanks, Jimmy.
I wish that had been
Golfers
me.
have
That's one
some
of my
great
favorite songs
rounds
of all
going
time.
on today at Rolling Green. Let's check
I
the
put it on.
weather.
I put it on polka earlier, and that is not polka. So someone else is playing along, and it's not
That
you, and
wraps
I'm
up our coverage
happy
of the
about that.
2022
I bet
Upstate
Chris
Golf
did
Card.
it.
Go low today and get your Upstate golf card for just $99.
commercials are on the stream.
Greens fees
I
at 10
know
Upstate
that
courses.
It's probably magic.
The first time Chris and I sang on the air, we did a Kermit the Frog off with that song.
Kermit the Frog here.
Apparently he won because I've never done it again afterwards. But, that's fine. That's the first time I went, you know what? We could do this. We could have some fun with this. I believe I was told his Kermit the Frog was better, but I sang it better. It's like, okay, what you're saying is he won, but thank you for the backhanded compliment. You caught up on Moon Knight yet?
I am not,
Dude.
but I have heard this most recent episode was incredible.
And there's only one episode left. There's only 6 episodes.
And I have much watching to do.
So Rashad, not in this segment, but in the following segment.
Correct. I'm going to do a real quick segment here. Coming up in the next segment, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast is going to join us on the Rob Brown Show. We'll see what his thoughts were on the press conference. I mean, I guess it was a press conference yesterday,
There were press there.
and he did conference with them.
Yes, he did.
So by definition, a press conference. One thing that did come out of that, and who was it? It was Trey on the Facebook stream caught it. There was one thing that came out of that. And this is either good or bad news for Charlotte fans, for Carolina fans, either way. It damn sure sounded like David Tepper has reversed his decision. And if and when it's time for a new stadium for the Panthers, he does not want it domed. Press asked him about that. They said when you moved down here, you said you wanted a domed stadium so that you could put in bids for the Final Four and, other large venue options that are required of a dome. And he said, yeah, I was going to do that. Then I moved here. He said, have you sat outside at BOA for the first few weeks of the season? It's beautiful. He said, I've been in the stands for Charlotte FC games the last few weeks. It's absolutely gorgeous outside. Now that I'm here, now that I live here, now that I'm in Charlotte, I realize that the weather is one of our most important assets. I don't want to ditch that. So when it's time for a new stadium, BOA, it doesn't appear, based on that press conference yesterday, new BOA will not be domed over. Which, all right. I mean, I'm a believer that all NFL stadiums should be domed, but that's just me.
To that end, he also discussed turf compared to natural grass.
Yes, he did.
And he brought up the fact that when he was in Pittsburgh, how bad the field got tore up with all the extra events. So that makes sense too. So there was some things that were said. They were just, could have all been done in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah. The only two things he said that were big, he got asked why they switched from grass to artificial turf in the stadium. He said, because we do a lot of stuff there. We got concerts, we got festivals, we got other events outside of football games. And if you've ever been, especially during the summer months when it's rainy, the field will get torn up if you do more than just one football game a week. And even when you do, it's a lot of work to lay the grass back down. He said, so turf allows you to play soccer and have concerts and do all this without impacting the quality of the field. They said, you also said you wanted a dome when you moved here. And he said, nope, not anymore. I love the weather. I love being outside. I do not want a dome in Charlotte. I think we're good as an outside venue, which again is fine. Your prerogative. That's it. 30 minutes of press conference. I thought we were getting some draft talk. We got none of it. Speaking of draft talk, you know who we are going to talk draft with? Rashad Beard, the host of the Panther Nation podcast, and we are going to do that when we come back. Rashad Beard is going to join us. We're going to find out who Shad wants to see wearing blue and silver tonight. That's up next on the Rob Brown Show. That's up next on the Fan Upstate.
Did you send him the thingy? Okay.
Baseball Wednesday in 10 innings, the Cubs beat the Braves 6-3. Wilson Contreras gave Chicago the lead with a run-scoring double in the 10th. Chicago Kisei Suzuki had 2 hits, including a run-scoring double off Charlie Morton, and the Cubs' 2-run third. The World Series champion Braves are still looking for their first series win and have split the first 2 games with the Cubs. Chicago lefty Drew Smyly faces his former Atlanta teammates in tonight's finale. Atlanta counters with right-hander Kyle Wright. The Yankees beat the Orioles 5-2. Giancarlo Stanton with his 350th career home run.
All I can say to that, Trey, is that boy can sing.
The Marlins nipped the Nationals 2-1. Pablo Lopez struck out 6 over 6 scoreless innings. He gave up a walk and 3 hits. National starter Eric Fetty tagged for 2 runs on 3 hits over 4 2/3, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders, and that's your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Hey, it's Mark Ryan. It's NFL Draft Week. Who goes where? Get the latest insight and best coverage all week on the Fan Upstate.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job.
Fellas, what's up?
Hi, how are you today?
I'm hanging in there.
What up, Rashad?
Oh, what's up?
How you doing, big fella?
Good.
See, Rashad can rock the head thing. I can't. Your head ain't as big as mine, I guarantee. It's just too tight, and I just can't make it work.
You can do it. You got to try.
I have tried, and then I get headaches. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I can't wear them like all the time. I only wear them like during a 2-hour span of the show. But yeah, if I wear it too long, I get a headache too.
That makes me feel better about myself. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you.
Oh, I got to change our little background now, don't I? Oh, there it is. Look at that technology, baby.
Good job. You are amazing.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. But I'm an idiot who figures it out. Hey, Braves reinstate Ronald Acuna Jr.
And I'm watching the delay. I seen it pop up on that one. Now it's getting ready to change to the second one. Can I see it do it for the third one? I don't know. I don't know. I started thinking about something, Rob, as soon as I saw Rashad.
I had a headache and I stopped.
Yeah, is that you and I are just not NFL fans this year because we're not rocking our gear on draft day, and I feel really bad about that.
I got halfway to work. I was like, eh.
There's tomorrow. We got tomorrow.
Rashad, legit, are you excited about this? Has got to be the least energetic draft I can remember. Like, nobody's hyped about this draft.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's no like consensus top guys, so nobody knows how it's gonna go. So it's difficult to get excited for. I don't know if it's on my side.
On the roof.
I would say I can hear a little bit of feedback. I can hear myself. I don't know if that's me or you.
Oh, do you hear it now?
Testing 1, 2, 3. A little bit, but not as bad as before.
Okay, so what I think it is I think it's you're hearing you through my microphone.
Yeah.
Which will be turned off when we. Man, okay. I hope whoever's on the roof doesn't come through because it's loud.
I'm about to go old school and be hitting the roof.
That'll be something. It's good for ratings.
Yeah, that's true. If someone falls through right in the middle of the show, that is, especially if you're laying right in that chair. Oh, that would be awesome. You'd think you'd have lighter shoes for working on the roof, but I see why they need to be reinforced. But although I think if I'm someone who works on the roof, I'm stomping on purpose. But that's just me. Dude, somebody dropped something or they fell. I've been up there before, too. It seems to be more reinforced than what that sounds like.
I mean, listen, I don't care if they tell me it's triple steel reinforced. I don't know what kind of damn gymnastics old boy's doing up there. But I would not be trying for the triple-double Lutz or whatever he's doing right now.
I see. He pulled in when I pulled in. He's not especially a large guy. So I just,
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am the Sex Panther, Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. And now Rashad, you didn't catch the show yesterday.
No, I caught it on your Twitter. But that's funny.
I love it. Rashad Beard is one half of the Panther Nation podcast, and they are going to be your go-to for draft prep and review as we are ready for round number 1 of the National Football League draft, set to go later on this evening. Rashad, what's up, fella? How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm hanging in there trying to get over the David Tepper press conference yesterday. Not the most excited about what I heard, but, it is what it is.
Okay, let's get into that briefly, Rashad, because we started talking about that. We started talking about that press conference. We started talking about what got said, and maybe more importantly, what didn't get said. Lonzo has a theory that Tepper was going to throw that press conference to talk about the Rock Hill thing. Then he or somebody else decided, hey, man, maybe not the best idea to throw what might be considered shade when there's the potential for another deal to come down the line. But at that point, it was too late to cancel. So my dude just had to go out there and pretend it was a football press conference, with the exception of turf talk and I don't want to put a dome on the stadium. What did you take away from that, and what was the point?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we haven't heard from David Tepper for a long time. So there was a lot to talk about, like the success of the team or lack of success for the team. And I just feel like it was a waste of time. It was the most underwhelming press conference I've heard from David Tepper in a long time. And I'm a guy that kind of reads energy. And what I saw, or what I read, or what I witnessed from him was that he was very different. He was very different. His energy was completely different. He was very reserved. He wasn't that same guy. That's very, I'm the owner. The owner bravado that he had before wasn't the same. It was not the same guy. So he accepted some of the things that he's done, some of the mistakes he's made. But one of the biggest takeaways that I took away from this interview was, the doubling down on just bad decisions, right? Sam Darnold, he's the guy. He's a quote unquote good quarterback, and how he treated, I posted this on Twitter yesterday, the stark differences in how we treated Teddy Bridgewater on the way out versus how Sam Darnold's being coddled, right? Because the same conditions existed for Teddy Bridgewater. No Christian McCaffrey. None of that was brought up last year, but in the press conference this year, he comes out and says, oh, he didn't have Sam Darnold. He didn't have Christian McCaffrey. He didn't have the protection. Those same conditions existed last year too. And he's getting excuses. Meanwhile, David Tepper's energy last year was, oh, if you don't have the guy, if you don't have the Super Bowl winning quarterback, you don't have the guy. But yet Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. It just doesn't make sense. Also, what I heard from him was that, the 5 years, the 5-year plan, and building the foundation. So now it seems like Matt Rule is going to be safe through 5 years. That's what it appears from what he said. And so those are the two biggest takeaways outside. Again, 75% of the press conference was dodging Rock Hill. And then when the football questions came up, he deferred to Scott Fitterer. And so he didn't really talk about anything. So it was really a pointless conversation.
Yeah, that's kind of what Zoe and I took away from it. We both sat in the office and listened to 32 minutes of a press conference that, if you took out everything that wasn't important, would have been cut down to about 6 top end. And it was a lot of, I'm not here to really answer football questions. That's for Matt and Scott, but also only ask me football questions because that's all I'm here to talk about.
Right.
It kind of felt pointless. But I will say this, I caught the same thing when he got asked, is Sam Darnold the guy? And his answer was, Sam Darnold is our starting quarterback unless he's not. Cool. Thanks. I guess, Big Dave. I left that press conference, Rashad, almost going, I would have had greater trust in the leadership of this organization if he wouldn't have done the press conference. If he'd have just sat in the back and been like, yo, it's draft day tomorrow. I'll answer questions after we get our guy. I walked out of that I didn't feel like what an inspired leader David Tepper is going into this draft. And I wonder if that doesn't kind of hurt the confidence of Panthers fans.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't help. I mean, it didn't help at all, especially for people that have been around for a long time. And just to see, and again, his energy, I'm an energy guy. So his energy, his tone, it was completely different from what I'm the big owner. All I want to do is win. That's the Tepper we're used to seeing. So then when we get this reserved, I don't want to answer anything now, and I don't. Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. No, that wasn't your energy last year. I would prefer if you keep the same energy, because he's right. If you don't have the quarterback, you don't have the quarterback. And Teddy Bridgewater wasn't a long-term solution, no. But he's also better than Sam Darnold was or is. So you can't come out here and say that Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. He said, quote unquote, Sam Darnold, we have a good quarterback. That's what he said. And the realistic matter to this is that we don't have a good quarterback. We have a below average quarterback at best. And I would just rather him come out here and tell the truth, right? Just tell the truth. That you don't have to hide anything. We know the reality is the reality. And if you're going to stick with Sam Darnold, cool. But everything that Scott Fitterer said, everything that Matt Rule was saying is that we don't have the guy we want. We're going to add to the room. So it seems like they're not talking the same language. They kind of are, but there's nuances in it if you listen to it that they aren't on the same page. So it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I want to get this over with. really. This is the real. I want to get this draft over with, man, because I just want to know the plan. I want to see the plan in action. What is the real plan?
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can find them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC, but of course, find them on YouTube and subscribe. Let's talk about that, Shad. And it's kind of interesting. We broke this down yesterday a little bit, and I sat and I looked at the top 5 teams on the board in Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston, New York, and whoever else I'm forgetting. Maybe both New Yorks. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I looked at, and I came to the realization that it's almost impossible to prognosticate what happens for the Panthers tonight, because I could see a situation in which 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or all 5 picks ahead of them get traded out. I could see all 5 teams ahead of Carolina trade out. Now, in any other year, the 3 quarterbacks that are on the board are likely late first round, really more realistically early to mid second round guys. But because this is such a thin QB class, now we have no idea. Does anybody want to trade up to New York Giants 5 and try to grab a quarterback there? If somebody believes that they'll trade up to the 5, will anybody trade up to Houston's 3 and try to get a quarterback there? I could see a situation where no teams trade ahead of Carolina, where all 5 teams trade out from ahead of Carolina. The reality is we could come up with a prognostication that makes perfect sense for Carolina, but ain't none of us going to know, including Scott Fitterer or Matt Rule, what the 6th pick looks like until Carolina's on the clock tonight, because it could be trade pandemonium tonight.
Yeah, and Scott Fitterer mentioned that in his press conference. He said, dude, last year we were able to predict pick 1 through 10. We were able to predict exactly how it happened. And this year, with the lack of quarterback talent and with everybody, with that talent level from 1 through 15 being about the same, it's really difficult to pick and predict how it's going to go. So you have to be really fluid. And I think that's the right approach. I don't think we need to be locked in on anything. And listen, I would love for the Carolina Panthers. And if Tepper is really going to give Matt Rule 6 years or whatever the case may be, 5 or 6 years, then I would love for them to go ahead and get a quarterback here. Like, let's go ahead and get the quarterback and develop them. The problem is that we have not seen any development. We haven't seen them develop a quarterback at all. Like, we've seen Teddy Bridgewater come in. We've seen them try to fix Sam Darnold. That's not working. So I want them to pick a quarterback if that's the case. Now, I think that I firmly believe that if Matt Rule comes out getting word of the 5-6 win team, then he's going to get fired no matter what Tepper just said. I don't think you can bring him back for another year. So with that being said, I feel like the thing that makes the most sense is for them just to take the best offensive lineman available. And I feel like no matter how the draft falls, one of the 3 tackles is going to be there, whether it's Evan Neal, whether it's Icky, or whether it's Charles Cross. One of those 3 guys are going to be there. And if there is such thing as a safe pick, one of those 3 guys is going to be the safest pick at number 6. And let's just roll with it. And then you keep Sam and let him roll back. Since you have so much confidence in him, since he's a good quarterback, roll him back out there another year and see what happens.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Texter says, Rob, they can't just come out and say, yes, Sammy D sucks. This is who we trying to draft. And I get that, right? Because we're in that kind of, even today, I mean, up until tonight is over, we're in that weird spot, Rashad, where we are in smokescreen season, right? Like, you don't want to throw out there, you don't want to make it obvious who your guy is. On top of that, if you do get backed into a corner where you don't have a choice but to play Sam Darnold next year, right? Because look, just because I have said, I think Baker Mayfield's the guy. I don't care how you feel about him. He's better than Sam Darnold and let you bring in an offensive tackle at 6. But there's no promise nobody else gets Baker Mayfield before the first round starts. You don't want to go out there and tell Sam Darnold, hey, we think you suck, we're going for another guy, and then get cornered into not having another cornerback. But at the end of the day, I'm with you in that regardless of if it's Baker, if it's Garoppolo, if it's Jordan Love, or if it's one of the 3 guys, I firmly believe the Carolina Panthers have to end tonight with the new quarterback on the roster. Yes or no?
First of all, let me address the texter, because there is not a smoke screen. An atomic bomb smoke screen couldn't hide the fact that Sam Darnold sucks. Everybody knows that he is not a good quarterback. We don't need everybody to pretend like he's a good coach, because we know he's not a good quarterback. Everybody knows that. Everybody in NFL knows that, right? So everybody knows that we're going to be looking to upgrade our room. They've said it. He said it. Scott Fitterer said we're going to add to the quarterback room. So everybody knows that quarterback is an option at 6. It depending on how the draft goes, quarterback is an option, and they're going to go out and get another quarterback. We all know that. So by the end of the weekend, I do think there's going to be another quarterback, whether it's going to be Jimmy G or Baker. Or I don't think it's going to be Baker, just because I think there's too much contention on the team. I think it's just too much for Baker to come here. I do think that probably I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the best scenario. However, I'm not for trading for another quarterback. Now you're in the game where you have to wait for somebody to make a decision on whether they're going to cut their quarterbacks, because both of those guys are under contract. You can't just go and get them. Like, you have to trade for them. And so that's where I have the problem. We traded for other bum quarterbacks. Why are we going to double down and trade again? That's why I'm so with trading back and getting more picks. But at the same time, if there's a home run hitter like Evan Neal there, it's so difficult to pass him because he's so good. He is too good to pass. So we've kind of bet, like you just said, we backed ourselves in this corner where there's going to be so many shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And I do think we need to have another quarterback. I just don't know how we're going to go get him unless somebody else cuts somebody. And we have to wait for that to happen.
Sure. I don't think you're wrong. And the good news, we talked about the fact that we could see 1, we could see 2, we could see 3, 4, 5, or 0 teams trade out ahead of Carolina. But the good news is, if there is a run, if some teams do get a bit stonesy and decide to grab 1 or 2 or 3 of the quarterbacks before the Panthers come up at 6, the good news is, for every quarterback that is taken too early before Carolina can get their hands on them, that's one spot further back that those top 3 offensive tackles go, which means that Carolina gets their hands there. So the good news, if there's a silver lining we're looking for here, Rashad, is that if you don't end up with the quarterback you want, be it Malik or Kenny Pickett, if both those guys come off the board, the better chance that you end up with one of those offensive tackles sitting there at 6 to put ahead of Jimmy G, Baker Mayfield, or worst comes to worst, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it's all about your perspective, right? I just don't think Sam Darnold's the answer to quarterback. So throwing him back out there, it's going to lead to us being an average team, 7 wins, something like that. I just don't see him going out there and just winning us a bunch of games, no matter how good the offensive line is, because it's proven, the stats say that even with clean pockets, he's not that great. And so it's just, we've got to get a quarterback sooner or later. I don't know when it's going to happen. I hope it happens tonight. I think we have enough offensive line talent to be. I still think Brady Christensen is a solid left tackle. I still think we have Deontay Brown, who we haven't seen yet. So our offensive line is not bad. And I think if you go later on into the draft in the 4th and 5th and 6th rounds, there's still going to be good offensive line depth or depth guys that you can draft to kind of bolster up the offensive line. So even if we decide to go QB at 6, I don't think all is lost. In that our offensive line won't be good, because I do think there's some talent to make it better down the road.
Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. All right, Rashad, 30 seconds. The end of the night, the newest member of the Carolina Panthers will be who?
I'm gonna go Evan Neal, man. I was on the fence with this, and I've been on record saying Malik Willis, but I'm gonna go Evan Neal. I think he's a can't miss prospect coming out of Alabama, and I just think if he falls because he's had quote unquote medical issues that have been denied, and those aren't necessarily true according to his camp. I think he's gonna fall to us, and I just think he's too good to pass. He can play left tackle, he can play guard, and either way, I think he's gonna be good across the line. He can play all four, everything but center. So I'm going Evan Neal. I just think it's the quote unquote safest pick out there. And if one of the quarterbacks falls, I wouldn't be mad at them either. But I think Evan Neal's the pick.
What is, of the three, Malik, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, is there one of those three that you would say, I'll pass on him for a tackle?
I'll pass on what do you mean I'll pass on?
Like
so
if let's say Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis are off the board and Matt Corral is there at 6, are you passing on him to take an offensive tackle?
No, I'm taking the left. Yeah, I'm taking the left tackle over Corral. I'll take a tackle over Pickett. Only one I'm not taking a tackle over is Malik if he's there. I'm all in on Malik, especially if you're going to give Matt Rule another year to develop. I'm just concerned about his development if Matt Rule is fired. That's my biggest thing. And that's my biggest. I'm more concerned about his stability versus Matt Rule. I don't. It could be a funny situation if we start switching coaches. That's all.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You look at Baker Mayfield. Bake had 4 different offensive coordinators through 4 years. Still a playoff caliber guy. How much better is Baker Mayfield if there's consistency? And I kind of feel the same way about what would happen to Malik if that was the case. Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can find him on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. And, of course, saying more importantly, subscribe to their YouTube channel. I have no doubt you are going to get some of the best pre-draft and post-draft talk that you will find right there, my man. Next time we talk to you next week, you'll have a host of new Panthers to break down for us, big dog.
Yep, we'll be live tonight. We're going to be live streaming during the draft, so you'll get our instant reactions. And if you want to see me snap on David Tepper, go back and watch my live stream from yesterday because it's pretty entertaining. I didn't expect to get that riled up, but yeah, we got a lot of good stuff coming. So subscribe over at PNP. It's dope. We're having a good time, and I'll see you guys tonight.
That's my dude. That's Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Make sure you, again, like and subscribe to that YouTube channel. We'll have some thoughts on this interview and my full first-round mock draft when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. He's the great one, Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Appreciate you, big fella.
Yep, anytime, man.
We'll see you next week, guy.
See you guys.
Later on. Oh, man. Texture said, I would just wish Rashad would tell us how he really feels sometimes. All right, stream. Thanks for coming by, dudes. Let me ask you guys. If I do a live stream for the draft or I guess after the first round tonight, would you guys be interested in it? I'm considering it. Boo.
Robocalls are awesome. I like the live ones better. It's a radio station. You want to go on the air? No, I'm trying to. Come on.
Come on. If we used to, if we get robocalls and they would give a, hey, can I speak to? We would always go, yeah, hang on, I'll grab them for you, and then we'd put them on the air.
Now you got to make sure that they know that they're on the air.
Well, I believe it's state. Is it FC or is it state by state? I think it's state by state, right? Because I know in Florida.
Well, I will tell you here.
Yeah.
I think it's actually a company.
Is it? And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. What up, world? Great to be with you. I am the Sex Panther, Rob Brown. He is the Professor of Perfection, Colonel Grudge. Hashtag Dad Kicks, the great one. Lonzo in charge of the broadcast today. And you are listening to what the South Carolina Broadcasters Association called the Sports Talk Show of the Year for is it 2020? It was 2020, right? 2020, 2021?
Yeah, each one's like a year behind. So
2020, 2021.
For the year of the pandemic.
I'm just saying, my first year here, we win the award. My second year here, ... Question mark? What do you say, Zoe? Go for two?
Let's do it.
For two.
Let's go for infinite.
Let's go for two. Let's try a streak here. How long what was the listener's decision? How long does it take to be called a dynasty? Is it 5?
I think it's 5, yeah.
I think it's 5. You gotta get 5 out of 7 to be a dynasty. I think that's fair. Lonzo is already a dynasty. Lonzo has built his own shelf to hold his Star Awards. My job is to get us a second one, to go back to back.
How cool is this job? You know, if you're a plumber, there's no award for being. There should be an award for being a plumber. If you work on electronics, there should be an award for that. There's not, and I wish there was for you, but there is for this. And you know, you get out of school and you think there's no way that you're going to win anything anymore. And then you find out, wait, I could win something here? We could win something for our quality programming? Let's do this.
As somebody who has found out that we, Zoe, are the official talk radio show of delivery truck drivers around the upstate, we will accept that award on behalf of you. I got a tweet DM from, and I hope it's okay to call him out, but at Clint Freeman on Twitter. Clint, in his Twitter profile, says he's the DB coach at Easley. He said yesterday in a DM, I think it's all right to read, right? I assume. He said,
well, it's too late now. You've already said his name and everything. I mean,
he said, I too am a delivery truck driver. Matter of fact, I delivered to the chicken salad restaurant right beside the studio. If you ever see a company truck outside the window, that would be me. I listen all day, every day. It's like as soon as we said that, the delivery truck drivers of the upstate. And I told Lonzo when we got off the air on Friday, I am not even kidding. That's a badge of honor to me.
oh, it's awesome, without a doubt.
Means something to me. I'm not kidding. Because not only are you dudes and dudettes in your rides for at least, if not more than the 3 hours we're on, and you have elected to hang out with us for that time span. But on top of that, you are some of the hardest working women and dudes in the upstate. And you could be listening to anything to keep your mind off that next delivery you've got to make, and you hang out with me and Zoe. That is a badge of honor to me. I mean that. Do you want to know why it is that I do not recycle segments during a show? That I do not hit the same segment twice? That I do not hit the same material twice? It's because I know there are those of you out there that are listening the whole 3 hours. And I don't want you at 11:15 to go, I heard that at 9:15. I don't need to hear it again. I'm out. If the hardest part of my job is, I have to find one more sports topic to talk about, I'm going to dig. Because it's a badge of honor to me that those of you that spend all damn day in your trucks or in your cars or in your vans or whatever decide to spend that 3 hours with me and Zoe.
If you were on the air during all the COVID lockdowns and you still need to recycle a topic, that's not good. That's not good. We did sports without sports.
Yeah.
Now we have sports. There's no need to recycle.
Mark and I were sitting at Hall of Fame last Friday, and we were having a conversation. And Mark Ryan said to me, and what I thought was interesting, Lonzo, he said, outside of being an athlete, do we have the hardest job in sports? And I thought, I've never had to sign over a multi-dozen million-dollar paycheck with the direction of the franchise riding on whether or not I got the right guy. So I'm going to say no. Texter said, Rob, you referred to Lonzo as Dynasty. You spelled dinosaur wrong. That's mean, Texter.
No, it's accurate.
That's mean.
It's accurate. I'm good with that. Yeah, it's
funny,
it's
but
fine.
mean.
That's fine. Out of all the digs at me that I've gotten,
that's a good one.
I'm good with that one.
That's a good burn. That is a good burn. Do we have the hardest job in sports? I'm going to say it is not easy. It's not easy. And I cannot tell you how many young people, because I've told you guys this, but I like mentoring the next generation. When I got into this business, I had one guy who helped me. One. Everybody else people don't help each other in this business because it's very cutthroat. That is the hard part of this job, is that it's cutthroat, right? I had to beat out 7 other finalists for this job, 6, 7, something like that.
And for the first time ever, at least as far as I've been in radio going on 25 years now, I've never seen a tryout process like what we had.
Yeah.
Where we had people come in and do a show. Yeah, I've never seen that before. That was very, very interesting.
Which included, by the way, I had to get myself here, keep myself here for 3 days to audition. Not to get the job, to audition. It's tough. But I will also go ahead and tell you, if I didn't know Mark Ryan from a past life, I probably wouldn't have got my foot in the door. It's a cutthroat business. It is hard. However, once I got this job, once I get it, no, I like it. Enjoy it. It takes away from a good social life every now and then, but it also gives me an excuse to go to a Swamp Rabbits game last night, to go to a Triumph game tomorrow night, to go to a Swamp Rabbits game Saturday night, to go to a Drive game Sunday, to sit up and watch the draft tonight, etc., etc., etc. Now, it's not that hard of a gig. I mean, it is, because again, I've run people out of this business by going, FYI, expect about 10 years of not making any money and giving up a lot of nights you don't want to give up to work. It is tough in that respect. But then I think about the fact that there are cops who are driving around listening to this show. You think I don't want to do a good job for them? There are firefighters who are hanging out and this is their relaxation period, wondering when that alarm's going off. You don't think I'm going to do a good job for them? There are UPS and FedEx and Amazon drivers that are sweating it out in those open air trucks with yet another stop with a 100-pound box to drop off. And this is their entertainment. You don't think I want to do a good job for them? So if I got to stay up till 1 a.m. watching a basketball game, and that's the hardest part of my job, I'm going to do a good job. All right, let's get some stuff in here. Texter says, Matt texted and said, I listen every day while here at work. Love the show, guys. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Glad to have you, man. Appreciate you very much. Make sure when you text into fan 71307, when you text in, start your text with fan so I can read them on the air. Start your text with FAN. Here's a few. Texter says, at fan, Tepper should have just said, I'm just here so I don't get fired. It's his team.
Yeah, except he would have had to fire himself. So
I'm just here so I don't fire myself.
Which would have been funny.
Yeah.
It would have been probably the most entertaining part of the entire press conference for sure.
Class A reference. Doesn't make sense. Texter says, fan, just picture David Tepper sleeping in a turtleneck. David Tepper rocking a turtleneck would have looked uncanny like Steve Jobs yesterday, being uncomfortable. Did you ever watch those early 2000s Steve Jobs at like when he rolled out the first iPad press conferences? That's what he looked like yesterday. Like, I have a clue about what I'm talking about, but not like a good one, you know?
I've never worn a turtleneck before because neck is just too, it just doesn't work. Might as well just go ahead and strangle myself.
Texture says, what's the upside of Malik Willis compared to PJ Walker? To me, they are the same player. I would say a lot of people are down on Malik because Malik has a higher than you'd be comfortable with number of off-target throws while at Liberty. Number one, I can work on that. Number two, I would also tell you to go back and look at the guys he was throwing the ball to at Liberty, okay? Go back and look at who he was throwing the ball to at Liberty. Look at the wide receivers he was throwing the ball to, and more importantly, watch the routes that the wide receivers were running at Liberty. They are not NFL speed. I think Malik was throwing to where the receiver should have been instead of where the receiver actually was. And I don't mean, ordinarily when you say that, it's a critique, right? You're throwing the ball to where he is instead of where he should be. To me, Malik Willis is a guy who plays at such a high speed that other guys are having to catch up with him. He's throwing to where a SEC receiver would have been, and certainly an NFL receiver would have been. Malik's better than PJ Walker. I'm going to tell you that
Is he, though? Because PJ Walker, at least you know what you get with him. And you've seen what he's done in the pros. You haven't seen what Malik can do. That's still a guessing game. It's still a gamble. PJ Walker, you know exactly what you got.
I know. And I know what I got with PJ Walker, and it's a guy that can't beat out Sam Darnold. For the record, this is not me saying that Malik Willis can. But I am saying I am comfortable saying he's going to be better than PJ Walker.
See, and there's another avenue of thought. Why was he at Liberty? If he's that good, why wasn't he at a bigger school?
He was at a bigger school. He transferred to Liberty.
So he got beat out at a bigger school and transferred.
Yes, and he after doing so, he came back later. I think it was it Auburn? Where did he transfer? Yeah, it was Auburn. I'm right. He transferred out of Auburn. He was there for 1 year. He transferred out of Auburn. He played 2 seasons at Auburn.
So how good did Auburn do with the quarterback that was ahead of them?
I'll say I'm trying to remember who was there.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's kind of the point.
Transferred to Liberty in 2019, sat out for a season. In 2020, named the starting quarterback. I'm trying to remember who took over for him at Auburn. But Two things. Number one, to his credit, he has said since then that the transfer, Keegan, notorious Auburn fan, said in all caps, I don't want to talk about Malik.
So I'm guessing maybe Keegan just answered that question, that he would rather have had Malik there.
Oh, he said Bo beat him out. It was all about Bo's dad playing. Oh, okay, he got beat out by a legacy prospect. Okay.
Bo who?
Nix. Bo Nix. I actually know who he's talking about.
Yeah,
here,
yeah, I
which
knew.
Says something.
I knew too. How good was he? Exactly. That's my point. And these are kind of the games that are played on draft day and what we're doing right now. But I think they're also legitimate questions. I think when you're vetting whether you want to draft someone, you got to look at, okay, didn't make it here, got beat out by this guy. This guy's the guy he beat. Now, you could say he got beat out because of legacy and all, but he got beat out by that guy, went to a lesser school.
Yeah, but then he also showed up at Liberty, went 17-6, had just shy of 63% completion percentage, threw for over 5,100 yards across 2 seasons. So he averaged about 2,600 yards a season.
So what you're saying,
touchdowns to 18 picks at Liberty.
You're saying he would tear it up in the USFL. That's what you're saying.
Oh, he would definitely tear it up in the USFL.
But that's not the NFL.
Is his ceiling the NFL and what level? Listen, it's for the record. I have said a number of times, and I will say a number more, Lonzo. None of these guys, to me, none of these guys are hits. Or at least definite hits. None of them. None of them are definite hits.
Everyone keeps in their back pocket, yeah, there could be a Tom Brady out there. No, there's not. There's not.
Well, they said that when Tom Brady was there. He's a 6th-round pick. Maybe. Malik might be Lamar Jackson. He might be. He might be Patrick Mahomes.
How many Super Bowls has Lamar Jackson won?
Not enough. But I don't blame him. Do you blame Lamar? I do not.
They changed the offense to fit his style of play, and they're still not winning the whole thing.
But see, the problem is when you're a Chiefs fan, it's either you win the Super Bowl or you're a freaking loser.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Not the case. Not the case. The point is, Malik could be Lamar. He could be Patrick Mahomes. He also could be PJ Walker. All right? And the reality is, I don't know. Because at Liberty, we did not really get a great look at who Malik was going to be. Against Southern Miss, threw for 6 touchdowns and rushed for another. He won the 2020 Dudley Award given to the best college football player in the state of Virginia. There's some pretty good football teams in Virginia, and he was the best player, according to the Virginia media. But he was also at Liberty. Now, here's the second part of the discussion, Lonzo. You asked, why did he end up at Liberty? The other part of it was Malik Willis is big into his faith. Big into his faith. And Liberty, obviously, is a Christian evangelical college. A faith-based college that also has a football team. And so part of the reason he ended up at Liberty is because that was a school, and he's talked about this in blogs and podcasts before, that was a school where he genuinely felt that he would be able to live his faith while playing football. I don't think many people are going to knock him for that, are they? I ended up at Liberty because I felt it was the best place for me to live out my faith while also playing football. Is that a knock against his character? I don't think it is. I'm going to assume Lonzo doesn't think it is.
It took you a while to get somewhere, but you found something.
Oh, it wasn't a fight. I knew exactly where it's going. No, for me, if I'm a football coach, you ready for me to be a jerk? If I'm a football coach, I'm going, I don't really care what your faith is. Can you play quarterback? Right? It's the reverse Tebow discussion. Tebow's my model here for discussion. My Sharona. Tebow's my discussion. If Tebow was a great quarterback, Yes, I want Timmy Terrific on my team. He can kneel at midfield and pray all day. I don't care. If you're getting me 27 touchdowns to 5 INTs a year, you pray anywhere and everywhere you want. I don't care if you're an atheist, a Muslim, a Jew, a Christian, a Buddhist monk. If you can play quarterback and you can go 4-1 touchdown to INT, I want you on my squad. Flip side. I don't care if you're the best dude in America. If you suck at QB, I don't have room for you, dude. Right? So my question to him is, I understand why you'd pick Liberty. I understand why you'd go play at Liberty. But do you feel that playing at Liberty University allowed you to display the best use of your quarterbacking skills? Based on what Lonzo just told me, I think the answer to that's pretty clearly no, right? Like, it is more of a question than a statement. You ended up at Liberty. Did that allow you to put did it allow him to put whether or not he has NFL talent on display in college?
I don't know. I don't, because you're going down to a lower level of football. And I am not sure about it. We've seen other quarterbacks play at the D2 level and just tear it up and everything. They get to the NFL, they do nothing. So you don't know. And we've seen SEC quarterbacks who play in the same kind of caliber that the NFL is, supposedly, come in and bomb also.
Sure.
It's such a gamble, we don't know.
Sure.
But I think it's the fact that he went to a lower level, that has to factor into whether you want to bring him in on your team or not.
Lonzo asked a question. And again, it's draft day, baby. These are all fair questions. This is not a critique on Lonzo's questions because he's got good ones. The question is, did you see enough out of Malik at Liberty to go? I'm drafting him with the 6th overall pick, or 5th, or 4th, or 3rd, or 2nd. I can't say I did, but I also know that if I'm hurting for a quarterback, of the 3, he's the guy. Of the 3. We're going to talk more about this. Don Smart set to join us from the Greenville Triumph in the next segment. I asked Don about last Saturday's loss. Said, look, I think you guys left it all on the field on Wednesday against Charlotte. The legs were dead on Saturday. Is that why you took an 0-2 result? Don answered that question and much more. You'll hear that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstated. I am glad now to be joined by a member of your Greenville Triumph and a guy that I can tell you has really impressed me the last couple of matches that the Triumph have played at home. He is a forward for your Triumph. He goes by the name Don Smart, joining us here on the show. Dono, great to have you, buddy. Thanks for taking some time, man.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Sure thing. Let's go back, and I want to talk a little bit. Obviously, you guys have a big match coming up on Friday because you do want to get back on the winning side of things, but I want to go back to last Wednesday when you guys had Charlotte FC come down, an MLS side. Just about everybody in the soccer community, certainly across the Carolinas, had their eyes turned towards Greenville. What was it like for you guys to go into a match against an MLS side, but on your turf, knowing that everybody was watching to see exactly what was going to happen? What did that match mean to you personally? And what did that match feel like for you running around with an MLS side and really giving them a hell of a game, Don Smart?
Yeah, it was huge for the city and for the fan. You know, I always having an MLS team coming in Greenville and playing us, it's always an honor, and it's a dream for most of these guys that's on the team, the younger guys, you know, and for the fans and I feel like we did well. We did pretty good, you know, to hang in with them for 120 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it took them all the way till the end of the first extra time, and I'm going to be real honest, Don, you guys poured on a lot of pressure all the way through the end of the second extra time. A couple of us in Section 110 were just waiting for that equalizer to come through, but regardless of the result, Don Smart, I thought you guys played a phenomenal game. I thought you poured everything you had into that match. Did you guys walk away feeling like there was some pride in the result, or did it maybe leave you wanting a little bit more and feeling like you have something to prove the rest of the regular season?
Yes, most definitely. I give credit to the guys for leaving everything out there. You know, everyone that was on the field or was on the bench, I came in and made an impact. They left everything on the field. Everyone was dead after the game, and yeah, I feel we're happy. We're sad that we didn't win the game, but we're happy with the results because we knew that we hang in there for 120 minutes and we gave it our all. And I give credit to all the guys, man. It's I watch the game. It's like incredible for the pressure that we put on these guys and the effort that everyone gave.
No doubt about it. Don Smart is a forward for the Greenville Triumph, and that leads me to the question about last Saturday night's match. Now, 3 nights later, you had basically a day off, a day of training, and then it was against Tormenta, who is kind of developed into the rival for Greenville, and did not go our way, Don Smart. A 2-0 result with the bad guys coming and taking a win. I left that game, and I know you and Coach Harks, a lot of people don't like to say stuff like this because it sounds like an excuse, but I think it's genuine. It kind of felt to me, Don, that as a whole, you guys poured everything into getting a result on Wednesday, and maybe the legs were a little bit tired on Saturday. How do you feel about that analysis?
Yeah, like we said, John, we don't want to use excuses, but I feel like most of the guys were pretty tired from the game on Wednesday because we actually had 3 games within a week. So we played Saturday against North Carolina, came back and played Charlotte Wednesday, and then we played a game again on Saturday. So I mean, during the game, like we kind of felt there was no energy in the game. You know, we see that guys was doing the best that they can, but there was no energy out there. You know, and like I said, there was no excuse to say that okay, the guys are tired, but we lost. But we knew within ourselves that we should have never took that loss.
Yeah, listen, and I've said this before, Don, there's excuses and there are reasons, right? And to me, reasons are things that are outside of your control. Excuses are things within your control. At the end of the day, I don't care how great a shape you're in. 3 matches, including one against an MLS side, is going to wear the boys down. So you take the 2-0 loss. It's going to happen. But here we are. You've got a match coming up on Friday evening, back at Legacy Early College. This is a week off of rest. What's the attitude like now with Red Wolves coming into town? Do you feel like there's been enough time to kind of get those legs and get that energy back for the Triumph?
Yes, I feel like there's times where we should like get our leg back underneath us, a couple of days rest, recover and get back to our normal ways, which is the Triumph way, which is winning, get their attitude back together, get the mind right and everything right, and get ready for a Friday night.
I love it. Now, I've got to ask you personally, Don Smart, joining us here. He is a member of the Greenville Triumph, hanging out with us on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Now, Don, remind me, you are sitting around 33, 34 years old. Is that correct?
34, yeah, 34.
34 years old. All right. So I was talking with Doug Irwin on Sunday at the event at the Triumph store downtown. And Doug said Don Smart is distinguished in that he's the only member of the Triumph that is older than me. And I said, Doug, hold up. Don Smart could beat both of us at everything, and my man's 34. Bro, can you tell me where you have hidden the fountain of youth that you are drinking from? Because whether it was Charlotte or Tomenta, my man, you never quit, dude. You never stop running guys down. You deserve to be commended for that. How do you find the energy, my guy? Because I'm just a few years older than you, and I want to take a nap just from watching you, my guy.
To be honest with you, man, it's just to hold your head down and work. It's hard work. It's not easy. Everything that you want in life is hard. It's hard work. It's gonna get you to that. And there's times where I'm on the field and I'm shot dead tired, and I have guys like Freaky and Evan and all the other guys on our team. They keep pushing me, so they force me not to give up. And with those guys giving me the extra energy, I just use it as a momentum and just keep going. And whoever I see that's actually tired also, I try to pass on the same energy.
I love it. Don Smart joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Dude, just the firebrand when you're out there, and it's impressed me. Now, you've played elsewhere, and you've been here at Greenville now. And when you, for instance, that Charlotte match, man, I don't know. First off, have you ever played in an environment that had the energy, the electricity that match did, with 4,100 almost people packed in there with the flags and the drums and the smoke? Have you ever played in a stadium that had that feeling to it before? And what was that like for you?
Yes. When I was playing in Indy 11, we had, I think, 13,000 people at every home game.
Nice.
And the place was rocking every weekend. So they come in the Charlotte game and see that, it actually kind of brings me back to those days. To those days where, I have to just block out everyone and just play my game, because, either you use the fans to give you the energy, or you don't pay attention to what's going on, Because in the game, you have to be focused. You can't really pay attention to the fans.
Sure. And that's kind of interesting because, Don, I have had a lot of guys that say what you just said. You kind of got to block it out. You kind of got to focus on what you're doing. And then I've had other athletes in different sports say, I feed off the crowd, man. I feed off the energy. When they get hype, I get hype. When they get buzzed, I get buzzed. I play off of that a little bit. You're in that former group. Are there guys on the Triumph that you can tell maybe feed off the energy when 110 comes alive, that they kind of start to pick up their play? And how do you guys build chemistry when you have different styles of play all brought together under one banner?
Most definitely. I'm actually one of those guys that feed off the crowd too. I feed off the crowd's energy. If we score like, was it Wednesday, when Keegan scored, the energy in the stadium was rocking. It gave me actually extra energy.
I love it.
It's incredible. Those fans are incredible. They're Reedy River Riot. They're a 12th player on the field, man. They are a 12th player.
Don Smart is a forward for the Greenville Triumph. They are back home this Friday evening to take on Chattanooga Red Wolves. It's been not the start to the season, Don Smart, that you guys have wanted, certainly, but there have been, obviously, with the Charlotte FC match thrown in there. There's been a lot of distractions off the field, like the discussions about trying to get a new stadium for the Triumph that I'm sure to some degree impact you. What is it like in that locker room right now with Coach Harks and the boys trying to get your mind straight and get back into winning ways, especially when you've got a couple of home matches to start the season? It would be painful to walk away with just the 1 point from the road tie. How are you guys getting your mindset into what I think kind of feels to me, Don, like a must-win game on Friday night at home?
We just gotta take it a day at a time. You know, it's early in the season, and we know this is not the Greenville way of not having 1 point in 2 home games. You know, so we just gotta take it day at a time, game at a time, and restructure our group and just get back to normal ways. You know, it's not easy, but it just takes a collective group to come together and just put our head down and continue working.
Don Smart plays forward for the Greenville Triumph. They are again back home this Friday night, 7 o'clock, Legacy Early College against Chattanooga Red Wolves, looking for the first 3-point decision, of the season. Don, my man, it has been a pleasure to watch you work so far this season. You are an absolute hustle monster. I respect the hell out of it, and looking forward to seeing you back on the pitch Friday, my guy.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Anytime. Don Smart, thank you very much, big dog. He is always welcome here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. We got to take a break. We are back right after this. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I brought us back just so people could ask the question, what is Rob trying to dig out of his beard?
I washed my beard this morning for the first time in this week.
So you only do that like once?
Once every other week. Basically, it gets to a
Do you have
point
beard
where-
shampoo?
Yes, I do. I have a beard shampoo, I have a beard conditioner, I have a beard softener, and I have beard oil. The oil gets used every day, the softener every other day, the conditioner every 3 days, the wash every 3 days.
Is the oil like Jerry curl type
No,
stuff?
it's a thicker oil.
Okay,
because
I don't.
to keep the. If you sleep on it and it's dry, the hair will start to crinkle up and then it won't comb out. So you have to you have to wash it and then oil it to make it go straight again, so that it will at least kind of go back. I'm also way overdue for a trim. I just haven't had time in the last week.
Seems like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. But as Dolly Parton once said, it's expensive to look this cheap.
So if we ever were able to interview MJF, would the goal be to get him to hang up on us?
I don't think you can do that. I think MJF will go more and more MJF until you have to hang up on him. I've never seen.
I'd be more worried about the dump button, but
I think that's what I was going, was to the point that you would have to dump him so much that you would eventually go, it's not worth continuing this, right? Like, you'd hit a point where you'd be like, no, we can't have this guy on the air anymore.
you just threatened to have Tony Schiavone have another talk with him.
Text friend of the show, Tony Schiavone, and be like, hey, Tony, MJF said bad words on our show. Can you have a chat? I can't believe that the best heel in America felt appropriate to cuss on my radio show. Who was I talking to the other day? I said, this is me contemplating my own doom, but I feel like I would probably try to get into a heel off with MJF. Like, I would get into a promo war with him, and I know I would get smoked. But
You got to go for it.
But I'd try it.
Yeah.
Texter said regarding Malik Willis, so you're saying we're going to have another Tebow? Maybe. Malik Willis is not shy about his faith in living it. I don't have a problem with that at all. The problem I do have is when the inevitable discussion of, the only reason you don't like him is because of that. No. I will judge Malik Willis the same way I judged Tim Tebow. I am not a person who judges a man based on his beliefs. I don't care what you believe. I don't. I can be friends with you regardless of your beliefs. I promise.
I'm good as long as you don't believe I should die like right now.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of a... Yeah.
Obviously, every statement has its limitations. I don't care what you believe until you believe that we should be harming or hurting other people. Then I'm out, right? But you're a different religion, don't care. Different faith, don't care. Different creed, don't care. Different background, don't care. We're human beings. The only time I care, or the only thing I care about, I should say, is I want my football team to succeed. And if you are a good quarterback and can help me with that, I want you on my team. And if you are not a good quarterback and you can't help me with that, I do not want you on my team. It's real simple. And the question about Malik is, can he help? Can Malik Willis be the guy who helps that quarterback? The answer is, Lonzo, maybe.
Possibly, could be,
Potentially. We don't know. We don't know. There are things about Malik Willis that I like. He is uber athletic. He seems to have tremendous field vision. He seems to have great ability to escape the pocket. And he seems to have a cannon for a right arm. There are things I don't like about Malik Willis. I wonder about his accuracy down the field. He did not have big-time playmakers at Liberty University to allow us to really get a feel for whether or not he could hit NFL caliber receivers in stride on the big play. I don't know. I don't know how great he is going to be at reading NFL caliber coverages because at Liberty University, he did not face any. And we have seen what happens when a player faces lesser competition and tears it up at the college level and then steps up to the National Football League where, breaking news, every defensive back was an All-American. I don't know. But here's what I do know about the Carolina Panthers. I'll start with this. Zoe, there are 5 teams that have a selection before the Carolina Panthers do. Every one of those 5 teams could trade out. Every one of them. The Jacksonville Jaguars could absolutely trade back. Honestly, if I'm a GM, I'm going, look, Aiden Hutchinson is good. I got no problem with that guy. Trayvon Walker from Georgia is good. However, what helps me more? 1, maybe really good defensive end, or 4 or 5 other picks in the draft. 4 or 5 other picks, including probably at least 1, maybe 2 late first rounders, maybe a first rounder this year and next year. If I'm Jacksonville, I could absolutely trade back. There's a lot of people saying that it would be crazy for them to do it. If I'm Jacksonville, I might absolutely trade back. I don't need a defensive end as the number 1 overall pick. That's not going to make me better next year.
First draft in recent memory where we're going into it going, okay, we don't know for sure that the number 1 draft pick's already been picked. Usually that guy, you know where he's going, and he's already had talks, all that kind of stuff. This year, we don't know that.
We ain't got that guy. Everybody assumed it was going to be Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. Over the last 2 days, it's become more and more possible, I should say. Reports have come out more frequently that Trayvon Walker might be the pick. And I'm not convinced Jacksonville doesn't trade out of that pick. They're trying to blow up the hype of both Aiden and Trayvon so that they can justify trading back out of number 1 and getting a swap of multiple picks for it. So that when they trade back, they add this year's first rounder, maybe a first rounder next year, first rounder the year after that, maybe a couple of seconds and thirds spread out across 2 drafts. If they trade back. Now, Detroit, of the 2 teams inside the top 2, Detroit's the more likely to trade back. But Detroit needs pass rushers. I could see them trading back. I could see them staying put. The Texans, they seem to have their quarterback. This is the part where people start going, we could jump up here and grab Malik as a 3rd overall. Detroit could trade back. Houston could trade back. The New York Jets, they need everything. They could trade back. And the reports started coming out last week that the Giants were already looking to trade back. The Panthers have no way of knowing who the guy is right now. Because 0, 1, 2, 3, or all 5 teams ahead of them could trade back. Is Malik too early to take 6? Will Malik be there at 6? There's no guarantee he will be. They may get to 6 and none of the quarterbacks are there. All right. Speaking of quarterbacks, I got some thoughts on what it means to draft or not draft a quarterback in the first round. I'll address that when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Zoe. You're listening to the Sex Panther Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
Sell high commission investment products, right? No. Fisher Investment
his references.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. Most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra. The same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
This update sponsored by 5-Hour Energy. Spring means getting stuff done. So grab a 5-Hour Energy for every weekend to-do list. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. The Bucks made quick work of the Bulls.
You should know, I got up and I walked a mile and a half this morning.
That is awesome. I wish I could have done that.
Cardioed today.
Can't wait till I can put a shoe back on so I can do the same thing. I'm close. I think I'm a day away.
Just like tomorrow.
Yes.
It's only a day away.
It's one of those where you think something's healed and you step the wrong way and realize it's not. It's not there yet. Let us, you and I, vow to have a healthy weekend.
Courtney's out of town for the weekend, which means I'm responsible for my own food for 3 days. I'm going to do my best. The air fryer is going to get a workout.
That's what it's there for.
However, I did discover buffalo cauliflower bites made in an air fryer. Different kind of good.
Yeah, I've had them, and I can't decide if I like them or not.
I like them.
And also, I look at the calorie count, and I don't know that it's that much better.
Well, it's better for you than chicken wings. Although air fryer chicken wings are.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So are French fries. If I eat French fries with oil on them, it's not
like
the
gross
same
now,
taste.
right?
Yeah.
I did regular chicken wings a couple weeks ago. Because I got them baked at Hall of Fame. I did regular chicken wings a few weeks ago, and I was like, I think I prefer the air fryer wings, honestly.
When we go to the beach, we have a smaller fryer. We take it with us.
I think she kept her smaller one, and I think it may very well travel with me when we go.
It's a good move, especially once you get used to that, And when we go, we stay for a few days, and it's kind of like a condo type thing. So it has a full kitchen.
Yeah.
So you can, buy groceries and then not eat them and still go out to eat. But we always eat breakfast there at least. There's nothing like coming back from the beach and throwing in some chicken tenders and fries or jalapeno poppers. You have a Prisma in the first break.
Prisma. the third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. Lonzo, I have to ask you a question from an observational standpoint. Right over there in the parking lot, directly across from us, next to the building, on the other side of the parking lot, there are 7 spots. The one on the far left is taken. The one directly in the middle is taken. The one on the far right is taken. The person on the very far right has very clearly parked a chunk of their car over the line. If you are parking there, on a scale of 1 to 10, how tempted are you to park in the spot right next to that person that is parked well over the line on the very end?
If I'm driving your car, absolutely.
If you're driving any car that's not your car, because Lonzo's parking on the other side of the building.
Well, I think those lines end right before the sidewalk, so technically the tire is over the line, but it's not really.
That car is not in a spot. That car's in 2 spots.
I think not only is it in 2 spots, but it's also partially on the sidewalk. The bumper at least is up on the sidewalk, at least from my angle.
It might be. Can I ask you guys a question? When you see somebody parked like a jerk, do you get tempted to park up close to him and make him regret it? When you see somebody that is like, and I'm not talking about like their tire is a little on the line, right? That's going to happen. And if it's like you're pulling into a sports parking lot, it's going to be hard to back out and get in and back out until you're lined up, right? But I'm talking about like egregiously over the line.
Hey,
like you know you're over the line and made an active decision to leave your vehicle over the line. That's a jerk move.
Back in my day, back in my day, we called that gangsta.
And a gangsta? That's jerked up is what that is.
All right, so I got to admit, I do that on Saturdays. But, I'm like the only one in the parking lot.
Yeah, but you're the only one here. Yeah. You're the only one here. I get that. That business, you and I both know that and they may be gone.
Hey, Rob.
That business at noon has a line wrapped around the corner.
That I think you need to throw some sympathy here, because either that is an old person going to get some chicken salad, or that's someone there to get therapy and they're having trouble driving.
That's a dentist office.
No, there's a therapy.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a orthopedic therapy.
Nope. No.
Yeah, right here on this corner, that's a therapy.
By the way, here's where I'll get myself in trouble. I don't have sympathy for old people in cars. This is one of my few things.
Why'd you look directly at me when you said that?
Because you're the one who just said there's probably some old people getting chicken salad.
So you're not implying that I'm an old person in the car.
I've ridden in the car with you. You drive a dope car and you know how to drive. I'm good with it.
I got to tell you, like unlike one other person on this station, when you rode with me, you didn't act like you were scared out of your mind.
No, it's fine. It's fine. If anything, if I drove your car, we'd have been accelerating a little harder. It's a nice ride. And I just sealed the fact that I'll never drive Lonzo's car.
Well, no one's driven it before. So
here's the thing.
The only person who begged me to drive the car was your girlfriend.
0% shocked.
And I'm just like, no.
No. Here's was it Wednesday? No, Tuesday. It was the day back from work.
And leave it alone, text line. It wasn't that. It's like my sister. Let me drive it. No, you're not driving it. No one's driving it.
On Tuesday, on my way into work, I come down, I turn off of Wade Hampton, and I come down one of the roads that cuts from Wade Hampton over to the interstate. I'm not going to tell you which one, because there's some weirdos out there, yeah? But there's a spot where this road is one lane, and it's 45 miles an hour is the speed limit. And the other day, I get stuck behind a land yacht, doing 30 in a 45. 30 in a 45. Now, I am not late for work, right? I got here I was in the office at 7 on Tuesday for the 9 o'clock show. I was here on time. I had missed a day, a lot to catch up on, got to run the sound, got to edit it through. I'm in at 7. So it's about 6:45. 30 in a 45. Stuck behind this car. Finally, it opens up the 2 lanes. I get to the side, I pull up, and this, bless her heart, this lady had to be like 85 years old. and she's doing the old person thing where she's like this with the steering wheel.
So you're saying she's like 4 foot tall?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's like, she can't, like, she's not looking over the steering wheels, though, so much as she's looking through it. And she's pressed up on that steering wheel like she's strapped into a NASCAR stock car. 30 miles an hour down to 45. Like this. And I'm like, you should, but, ma'am, with all due respect, you should not be driving. All right? You either find a ride or you stay home. You find a ride or you order delivery. This country should pay old people to order all the food delivery and medicine delivery they want to stop them from driving. It was terrible. 30 to 45 for the better part of 15 minutes. The whole drive should take me 15 minutes to get here. Took me 25, 10 of it was down that one section of road because she was doing 30 and a 45. I never wanted Magneto's power so bad in my life.
It's kind of mean, but it would also be cool. I spend a good portion of my time out where I live behind people like that. You got the person in front of you going 20 miles below the speed limit and the person behind you up on your bumper like it's your fault.
Yeah. To the speed limit.
Hey,
Texas says, Rob hates old people. I bet you avoid Cracker Barrel like the plague. I do not hate old people. I love old people.
You know.
They are the sweetest, and you learn life lessons
Oh
from
no,
old people.
no! See, that's a lie. All right, this is a lie
That's true. A lot of old people are
This
jerks.
is a lie that I learned that it was a lie when I first started here 20-something years ago and started screening calls on the talk station. Old people cuss me out
Yeah. old people are mean.
every single day, and I'm just sitting there stunned. I'd go home and was like, because you think older, wiser. That's not true. Some of those people just got lucky.
No, it's
some of
older
those people
and
got
more-
lucky.
It's older and more arrogant is what it is. There's a lot of old people like, I made it this far, ergo I am smart. No, dude, you got protected.
I don't know if you're there yet, but you do reach an age where you just don't care. I'm pretty much there.
Yeah.
Not entirely, but for the most part, I don't care.
Yeah, but I don't care doesn't mean you're right.
But but once you reach the part of your life where you don't care, then the next progression is I don't care, get out of my way.
Yeah. Listen, I have gotten in trouble for, you don't respect old people. No, I respect people who deserve to be respected.
Hey, let's go get lawn chairs from downstairs and just go sit on the sidewalk after the show
Scream at
and
old
wait.
people.
No, and wait till they come out.
Oh, yeah.
And just stare at them.
Oh, yeah. Texas says, fan, I will park as close as I can to make their life a little harder. Yeah, I get that. My first thought, I'm not saying I would do it every time, but there are times I'll do it, would be, Lonzo, that's my passenger side of their driver's side. I am wedging the car as close as I can to it, and then I'm snapping a photo of my car before and after their car is gone.
I guess my heart is just too big. And I also think of when I was really big, when I weighed nearly 400 pounds, and I think people did that on purpose, parked really close. And there were a few times when I was nearly in tears where I could not physically get in my car. And I'm sure they're saying, lose some weight, fatty.
No.
But I can't get in my car.
I'm saying don't park like a jackass, is what I'm saying. Those lines on the ground are not a suggestion. It's not like a park if you feel like it. Otherwise, just get out wherever.
I believe that, I know parking lots are private. So I guess it's for whoever owns the parking lot can decide. It's just a guideline.
Cool. Remind me of that next time that you're parked in your little private spot over here and I get to work after you.
By the way,
it's just a suggestion.
You will be towed.
Just this for what? It's just a suggestion.
Hey, listen. I didn't say for me.
Also, I love Cracker Barrel for the record.
Yeah.
Love Cracker Barrel. Texas says, do you guys have a draft ritual? I like to grill up burgers and brats and have a plate similar to the SNL Chicago Bears fan skits. Oh, the super fans, huh?
The Bears.
Super fans, da. Bear stop, bear stop, bear stop, bear
I got.
stop, bear stop,
Man,
bear
I
stop,
did it
bear
again. I should not do that.
Once a year,
That
Lonzo
hurts.
does a super fan. Oh, that's a heart attack, Bob.
I got
a heart attack.
I got to remember to hit on the pec and not on the sternum.
Yep.
That's a bad move.
Yep, that's it, Bob. Lonzo, quick question: who would win in a fight, a hurricane or Mike Ditka? Wait. What if the hurricane's name is Hurricane Ditka? That's a good question there.
I can't answer it. I got to get another brat.
That's a good question there, Bob. Yes, indeed. Duh, Bears. Duh, Bears. The Bulls got eliminated by Giannis. Duh, Bulls.
You know, you always talk about calling yourself an idiot and dumb and stuff. No, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot because I really did hurt myself again.
Did you do it on draft day last year, too?
I believe
it was
so.
Close to it.
I believe so, yes.
The annual draft day Lonzo's self-inflicted pec wound. What a tradition on the show, ladies and gentlemen. To go pull last year's audio, see if we can find that. All right. I do not have a draft day tradition, to be honest with you. I don't really have one. Tonight.
Who's your preferred, now that we are not beholden, not that we were in the first place, but who is your preferred viewing of the draft? Whose coverage do you like the most?
So I'm not the right guy to ask because I sit in a room with 4 TVs and 2 laptops and a tablet going.
If you had to choose, Rob, if you had to choose only one, who would you choose?
I mean, I feel like the default is I have to fall back to ESPN, right?
No, it doesn't have to be the default.
Who else do you go with?
NFL Network. I mean, their coverage has always been better than ESPN. And then there are watch-alongs and things with other, like McAfee.
I thought about doing one.
McAfee does a thing.
Is McAfee doing
one? Yeah, he did it.
Watch.
He did it last year. He's doing it again this year. And they have all-star people come in. It's a FanDuel thing, so they come in and do all that.
Fair enough.
So that's who I'm watching.
You ready for me to get my fan card questioned? I will not be watching the majority of the first round live tonight. I'll be checking it when it's out after it's over because we got invited, and I have decided to go to.
You're going to that thing.
I'm going to that thing.
Have you practiced?
You think?
Because we looked at that yesterday. Have you practiced?
I pulled a hammy watching. We've been invited to a traditional Georgian dinner, and that would be Georgia, the country, not the state. Yes, those are 2 different places. We have been invited
and yes, more than likely, Georgia, the state, was named after Georgia, the country. More than likely, yes.
I don't believe that's true. I believed it was named after the first governor's daughter, but I could be incorrect. I'll have to look that up. Anyway, there's a new Georgian, the country, not the state restaurant. If it was Georgian, the country, just fried catfish and sweet tea and Waffle House, y'all. Which, by the way, sounds amazing. Georgian, the country, there's a new Georgian restaurant that's opening up, and we have been invited to come to a traditional Georgian celebratory dinner. So that's what I'm doing tonight because I've never done that, and it sounds awesome.
I would go, but I can't put a shoe on. So, I mean, I don't think these sandals would be acceptable, dress.
Yeah, so I will be catching up with the draft about midway through the first round. I'll pop in.
Is it okay to go to a traditional Georgian restaurant and have the draft coverage on your phone?
No, I'm not going to do that. Here's the thing.
Well, you could listen to the draft coverage right here on the fan.
Upstate. That is correct.
You could.
But I don't need to. This is where I'm going to get in trouble for not toting the party line. The live coverage is available right here on the fan upstate. I am not bringing in my FBI Secret Service earpiece, of which I definitely have one, to listen to it. Because here's the thing. The majority of the draft coverage is what? The pick is in. Ding, 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 ding. With the 6th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Malik Willis, quarterback, Liberty University. And then it's 8 minutes of them talking about Malik. I don't need that. I've already done that. I've already got my coverage. I've already gotten my notes. I've already got my stuff. I don't need 8 minutes of them recapping why they picked Malik. I am aware of why they picked Malik. So the draft doesn't really do a lot for me. Because I at least relatively familiar with everybody who's going to get picked tonight. Now, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, that's where your boys tuned in because when they go with the left tackle from Montana State University, I got nothing.
My best friend in the entire world, Cleveland Browns fan, used to, and I'll have to check and see if he still is, takes Thursday and Friday off just for the draft.
I ain't mad about
Takes vacation days just for the draft.
Yeah, I ain't mad about it. I'm fine with that. I kind of like our job because when we get off the air tomorrow, I'm going home. I'm going straight to draft coverage, right? Saturday, Sunday, I got nothing to do but draft coverage. And a playoff hockey game Saturday night.
My wife has informed me we're watching the draft tonight. No, this was yesterday. I am bragging.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely bragging.
And I approve of that brag. I approve of that decision and that brag. First round of the draft, I don't really need it. I know the guys that are getting drafted tonight. I'm familiar enough with all of them.
Yeah, but tonight's going to be interesting, or it could be. There's no chalk. There is no chalk. And once the trades start happening, it could be. And they say that a lot of years, and then nothing happens. Tonight, it's going to happen. There are going to be trades tonight.
Tonight is going to be one of two things. It's going to be either pure chaos or absolutely boring as hell. One or the other. It's going to be absolute chaos or it's going to be boring as hell. We're either going to get, but like Lonzo said, I don't know if it can be boring because as you said, there is no chalk. There is no chalk here. Is Aiden Hutchin the guaranteed number one? Up until about 3 days ago, everybody thought that was true. Then the Jags were like, YOLO, nope. And maybe he's not. And if he's not, who is it? Is it Trayvon Walker? Is Trayvon Walker that much ahead of Aiden Hutchinson? Or is that a smokescreen because the Jags are going to trade out? And if the Jags trade out, what's that do to Detroit at number 2? And if they trade out, what's that do to the Texans at number 3? They don't need a quarterback. Is it worth sticking at number 3? I don't know. Here's what I do know. What I do know is we got to go to a break. And what I do know is when we come back, it's Thursday. And you know what that means. It's time for Fight Club. Your home for all things combat sports. Lonzo guides us around the world of boxing. We haven't even talked about the fact that I exactly nailed what was going to happen in that Tyson Fury Dylan White fight.
I don't know. We might spend the entire segment on one thing. You just have to wait around and see.
That's next. Then, to wrap up the show, why it is that drafting a quarterback might not be a great idea. I got some numbers for you. And then Twitter to wrap it up. It's the final hour of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
Prisma.
Yeah.
That was
With
wild.
the longer breaks.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, I forgot it times out now. Hello, friends.
I was gonna say, I didn't see you move your hand.
I did not. Almost perfect timing, though.
Welcome into the Fight Club, where we bring the energy, we bring the pain, we bring the smackdown. Don't park the wrong way around us.
I just realized.
What was that? What is that?
If we win another trophy this year, we're the double champs.
Yes, we are.
And we can do with the boat we want.
You're absolutely right. You are correct. I want to start with something that may make Rob angry. And yes, I do this on purpose because, it's fun. All right, so I was listening to Busted Open podcast. I listened to a bunch of wrestling podcasts. I want to give them credit because I heard this argument there, and I've never heard this before. Whether it's real or actually happened, there was an epiphany that happened in a debate that they were talking about. The fact that Randy Orton has a chance to break Ric Flair's record of championships or John Cena's record of championships. And it was pointed out by Bully Ray, Bubba Ray, whatever his name is, depending on what organization he's in, that John Cena is the greatest champion ever in the WWE because all his championships were in the WWE. Ric Flair only had 2 championships in the WWE. And as he's making this argument, he's right. He's absolutely right because you can jump from organization to organization. Not every one that you're presently working at will recognize those as actual championships. So my question to you and to the listeners, who's the greatest champion of all time in the WWE? Is it John Cena or is it Ric Flair?
I mean, I hate to say he's right, but technically he's right? Like, we can talk about what is it, 17 times of Flair and but at the end of the day,
it's 16. They're both at 16.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it does come down to the organization, yeah, and he was in different organizations for a lot of those. Now, as an old school wrestling fan, considering the majority of Ric Flair's career, forget championships, career was ahead of the existence of the WCW/F/E. The championships he won were still the biggest championships in all of wrestling. So I still think Ric Flair is the bigger champion, which is why I'd say the greatest champion. But if you're going to go WWE champion, then yeah, he was only that twice.
And I will say, I've heard this a bunch of times.
And see, I don't hate old people. Ric Flair is old people.
He is old people. I've seen this a bunch of times, and I wonder why no one ever calls Michael Cole out when he says John Cena is the greatest of all time. In the WWE, he absolutely is. So every time he said that, I always wondered, why wasn't there blowback? Why don't people get really mad about that? But he's being accurate. So technically, whoever breaks that record, if John Cena wins 17, he's not breaking a record, he's setting a record. If Randy Orton wins 17, then he's breaking John Cena's record. I'm going to say this, Ric Flair is irrelevant in this conversation.
No, I'm going to disagree.
When you're just when we're specifically just talking about the WWE, Ric Flair would be irrelevant in this conversation.
It is a matter of semantics. Technically, you are correct, which, depending on who you ask, is often the best kind of correct is technically correct.
Including the person across the way from me right now.
I say that all the time. Technically correct is the best kind of correct because you are, at its base, most correct. But Ric Flair is irrelevant because the organization in question did not form until Rick was effectively in the twilight of his career and carried on into his 40s and 50s wrestling, whereas they way already existed when Bob Orton's son Randy and John Cena, the failed bodybuilder, showed up and became what they are. Had Ric Flair been around, had WWE been around during the days of Flair, or had Flair come up during the early days of WWE, it absolutely would have been Flair. So you are correct. He is irrelevant to the discussion of best WWE champion. Best wrestling champ, it's still Ric Flair.
See, I don't know. There might be some other guys that are around. You could say Bob Backlund. I mean, who was champion forever.
I love Bob Backlund. I have been put in a reverse cross chicken wing by Bob Backlund at WrestleMania 30. It was amazing. Hurt like a son
I was going to ask you, did he crank it to make sure?
Yes. So I asked him to, right? I was covering WrestleMania 30, and he was doing a photo op, and basically you had two options, which is you could put your arm around Bob Backlund, and he'd give you that Bob Backlund smile, or you could ask him to put you in the chicken wing, and I'm like, yeah, obviously I'm doing that, and he does it, and I'm like, hey, for real, how hard can you crank this thing? And he went, you sure? And I'm like, yep, and he wrenched it. Ha! Okay, the picture. I gotta dig the picture up. I got the picture somewhere. Face pain face. It hurt, but it was awesome.
I bet it would absolutely be awesome. So I was curious where you would stand on that, and I'm a little surprised. I thought you would argue a little bit more, and you didn't. So I mean, that's cool.
I get it. You're right. If you're playing a semantics game, I, Lonzo, am above playing semantics games. I'm above that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that before.
Me and Chris Evans don't have literally hours of that exact conversation.
Yeah, just the other day. We know that the three of us, that's some of our favorite kind of humor and discussion. So I literally, I'm driving along going, wow, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So yes, you can get epiphanies listening to wrestling podcasts, just like listening to this very show in this segment. All right, so last night, I don't know if you knew this, or actually it was Monday. So it's been a few days. Asuka finally came back to the WWE. And people were upset about the fact of where she came back for, but it's a natural rivalry for her to have with Becky. Becky's just a waste of space right now. So hopefully they don't bring Asuka back just to try to get Becky back over, because she's just not. It's cringeworthy, the stuff she's doing.
You don't have to have had liked it, though. Ruining the man character was the biggest mistake WWE's made in years.
Well, the man character was Becky's idea.
Correct.
How do you know this isn't Becky's idea?
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. And if it was, I'll put it on Bex. You ruined the best thing that's ever happened to you. I would argue for about a year, maybe a year and a half, the man was the biggest thing in WWE, and I'm including the dudes in that. I think Bex was the biggest thing going in the history of women's professional wrestling. I don't know if she took it away. I don't know if they took it away. I don't care who took it away. It was a massive mistake. Asuka, when Asuka came up from NXT for a while, Asuka was the hottest thing going in women's professional wrestling. Asuka with the streak was phenomenally fun and entertaining.
Yeah, and I didn't have a problem with how she lost it either. Losing it to Charlotte Flair, that's fine.
I mean, I do, but for a different set of reasons. If you bring her back to try to prop up big-time Bex after losing her belt, you have not only wasted the biggest thing going in women's professional wrestling, the man, you have now also wasted the second best thing that has ever gone in women's professional wrestling in Asuka. Good luck.
All right, there was another big return Monday night, which I think was a bigger surprise than Asuka, and that's Mustafa Ali came back. After all his, I want to be released, I want to do all this, and they made fun of him when he came back, saying, I thought you took your ball and went home, and some things like that. It was great. So they made fun of it. Are you surprised Mustafa Ali came back?
Surprised that he came back? Absolutely. Absolutely, because it seemed like, look, unless Mustafa Ali committed to the most, the longest duration work that he had zero gain from of all time, then yeah, I thought he was gone, right? Like because he was openly criticizing WWE on his social media, right? Like I believe Mustafa Ali is part of the reason that WWE put such a crackdown on their wrestlers on social media. He wanted out. And first off, Mustafa Ali, for another guy that for a while, Mustafa Ali was crazy over for a little while. And then when this happened, a lot of people came to his defense, like cut him loose, let him go somewhere he wants to be because he can be good. I am shocked he came back because one of two things happened. Either this was like Mustafa was not as committed to I want to go my own way and be my own wrestler and do what I want to do elsewhere, and they're not going to let me do that. Or Vince stroked him a check and Mustafa Ali sold out for it, which again, fine by me. I get. I have sold stuff out in my life for an amount of money that I would not have gotten elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't
get the business.
I don't get the sold out thing because the majority of people, as we've discussed on this air, the majority of people when a certain amount of zeros is put in front of you, you're going, okay,
yeah,
all right, I'll do it.
Again, I unless it is like a really big deal, I usually don't turn on people for selling out because I've sold out on stuff that I'd said I'd never do on air for money before, right? I've sold out for stuff I'd never do that on air, and somebody goes, "We will give you $1,000." So okay, well I'll do it once. I'll do it once. You know, I don't know what happened. I don't particularly care. Mustafa Ali's a good wrestler. He is. He really is a good wrestler.
He is a good wrestler. I agree.
And can tell a story. That's all I want. Let my guy fly.
All right. So one more thing in WWE wise, and then we'll get to AEW. Joe Gacy now has acolytes. I know you're not watching NXT, and Joe Gacy, I really like. We've discussed before how much I really like his angle, the whole woke thing, come inside a safe space, which is not really a safe space. Now he has acolytes. Is it okay to have acolytes?
That's a good idea, too.
I mean, because the last big name with acolytes was,
JBL?
well, The Undertaker, I think his acolytes was bigger. I mean, these kind of acolytes are the same kind, hooded, black hooded type thing.
I mean, here's the thing.
To where he knocks Braun Breaker off of the same thing that Gronk was afraid to jump off of, and then the acolytes beat him up.
All right, so I'm speaking as somebody who has not been watching the show.
Right.
Not been watching NXT. I'm 100% in for a woke character. I really am.
Oh, it's great because a lot of times, or most of the time, wrestling reflects what's going on in society, and they blow it out of proportion one way or the other. Yeah, and that's why these things will hit because it's going on in real life.
My favorite wrestler of all time, is an indie guy, a little bitty indie guy, like an American Legion wrestler. There was a guy that wrestled in, I want to say it was in Tennessee, like on the Great Smoky Mountain circuit. And his whole gimmick, I can't remember his name. I wish I could give him credit. But his whole gimmick, Lonzo, was from 2014 to 2016. His entire gimmick was Hillary Clinton for president. That was his whole gimmick. He went into like backwoods conservative areas in like Tennessee, like outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, and he'd wear a Hillary 2016 shirt, and he'd carry a Hillary 2016 sign, and his whole gimmick was he'd grab the mic and he'd tell you why Hillary Clinton should be president. That's an incredible heel move.
It absolutely is.
Incredible. Just like the opposite would have been true. Do you understand how great a move it would be to do wrestling shows in New York City as a big Donald Trump guy? It's brilliant because it's so painfully obvious, but we live in a culture where politics is so polarized that the best bad guy you can be is, I have different political beliefs than you, right? And don't say it's stupid because what was Sergeant Slaughter versus any of the bad guys that Sergeant Slaughter, Iron Sheik, any of them. Iron Sheik's gimmick was what? I'm from the Middle East and I'm an Arab Muslim. That was it. What was Sergeant Slaughter? I wear camo, go America. That was it. And we love it. I got a Sergeant Slaughter cup in my house right now because I love the guy.
It was during the Cold War. It was the right move to make, for sure.
Yeah, that's what it is at its core. I am down with a woke character.
Yeah.
And the best ones, how many times have I said it? What's the best heel in wrestling, Lonzo? The guy who's right. The guy who's right and has a point but takes it too far. Daniel Bryan, the Eco Warrior, was a great heel because he's right, but he takes it too far.
Was that belt really made out of hemp?
Yes, I believe it
and
was.
I'm talking about belt, not championship. I don't care, Paul. You're not here. So anyway, all right, let's get to some quick AEW stuff. Last night, FTR, they faced each other in a match.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
It was a good match,
spectacular.
But they went to the top rope a couple times.
Did they?
There was some stuff like that.
No flips, just fists, unless it's us.
They went completely against what their credo is.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not?
I don't
Because
know.
now you get to
that part bothered me.
Now you get to ask them when they tag team wrestle. Now you get to ask, you guys can do it. Why don't you? And they get to go because that's what we want to do. And that's what makes their character so great. Why don't you?
It's a good.
That's
It
not
was.
what we do.
It was a good match, but I think that was a bad move. All right, Wardlow crushed Lance Archer. I mean, it was a pretty good match, but then he power bombs him like 4 or 5 times. That's not really the story because still MJF and Sean Spears are up in box seats. I love that. I think that's great, but MJF gets off the phone and says, "Are you up for a big guy?" and says an amount of money, and he says, "And you can't teach that." So now we know who he's facing next week.
Wow.
So Big Cass will be on AEW next week to face Wardlow. No, it's not. They already booked it.
Oh, they booked it.
They booked it by the end of the show.
Really?
By the end of the show. Yeah. And I don't know if Enzo's coming too.
The question is not. It'd be great to see.
This
Cass.
morning I saw I follow Enzo on Twitter. What do we got over here?
What do we got over
That's
here?
it may have something to do with it. It may not. But yeah, I'm just. You know what's sad? He said that. I'm like, man, I know that phrase. Why do I not know that phrase? I had to look it up, and then I'm like, why did I not know that? Because it's been so long. Apparently, Cass has been in Impact for a while, and I don't watch Impact. So.
Here's the thing: I met Cass at WrestleMania too. On Bourbon Street, as a matter of fact, I met Big Cass. He was
there's no
hanging out
surprise.
the night before WrestleMania. Super nice guy, genuinely a nice human being was Big Cass. Big Cass went through some stuff when he got cut from WWE. Went through some stuff, hit it hard. Apparently, has gone to rehab, has got himself completely clean. There have been pictures of him on Impact. Dude got cut.
Yeah,
like
I've seen the pictures.
I'd be interested to see if his little cupcake compatriot comes up with him. And more importantly, do they lean back into the WWE gimmick? The you can't teach that is that gimmick. Do they lean into that?
That's why I wondered and seeing what Enzo was tweeting. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
If you're Enzo, it doesn't hurt you at all.
No,
Even
it doesn't.
if you don't show up, you're
doesn't
getting
hurt
some eyes on
Cass.
you. No,
It doesn't hurt
Cass. It's all publicity, baby.
No,
At the
so-
end of the day, the only thing that matters is that you get your name on lights.
It puts more eyes on Impact, and they've had crossover with Impact before. All right, as we go to break, Eddie Kingston is horrible on the microphone and needs to be let go from AEW. What a horrible segment last night. People are praising it, and it's so bad. Thank goodness Jericho, just from facial expressions, is able to save the segment. The dude can't wrestle. He can't talk. If you think he can, I don't understand you.
Lonzo, the chief officer of the Jericho Appreciation Society in South Carolina. Eddie Kingston, phenomenal. I haven't watched last night. I'll watch it after the show. I'll let you know. But Eddie Kingston is phenomenal. You know why? Because he's a real dude. And give me a real
He's
dude.
a real dude that can't wrestle.
Give me a real
That's
dude.
what he is.
Nah, he's a brawler.
Hulk Hogan.
You're a Moxley guy, but not a Kingston guy. They're brawlers.
Dude, Hulk Hogan has more moves than Eddie Kingston.
No, I'm done with you. Take the show to break. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show. The Fan Upstate.
You shouldn't get in on this, Lisa. You should stay out of this.
All right, stream. What's our break conversation? Somebody give me something. Somebody asked if Tatanka still shows up. No, Tatanka will get you canceled.
Tatanka still exists?
Royal Rumbles, you're right.
He still exists? I didn't know that. For some reason, I thought he had passed.
No, I think he's still around. Wait, I didn't know I was showing it all on the stream there. Look at myself in HD over here. It's a bad look. I am comfortable though. I will tell you, this is a good spot to be in to watch the stream chat.
Trey says he was doing big time wrestling shows a few years ago. Oh, okay.
Keegan said, so here's a fun story. He said, I miss Eugene, Hornswoggle, Boogeyman, and Hurricane Helms. Number one, Hurricane Helms follows me on Twitter. I feel like I've made it. Number two, I was involved in a match with Eugene a number of years ago. Eugene's another one of those gimmicks that would not work today. Absolutely could not work today.
I loved his character, but if I recall, he was found passed out, and and then
Off the court issues.
It hurt him.
Yes.
Hurt his image. But there are gimmick wrestlers in both.
100%.
In every company, there are gimmick wrestlers. Danhausen
Is the best.
still haven't seen wrestle yet, but I've been watching a ton of YouTube things, and then there's one thing of him without the makeup on, and I don't want to watch it. I purposefully skip past that. I don't want to see that. I want to see if he can wrestle or not. If Hook comes out and squashes him, I mean, I do, because I want to see if he can wrestle. Yeah, there definitely was an ugly botch, Trey. The ladder matches in AEW aren't as good as, and I think it's because you're comparing it to everything the Hardy Boys did, and Edge and Christian and Shawn Michaels and all that stuff. Although, if I recall, no bleeding on this week's episode.
No mask, huh?
I just thought about that. That's kind of a shocker. I wonder if they got told they need to back off that a little bit, because they went a couple weeks where there's nothing but blood everywhere.
Lonzo hates violence.
It also may have something to do with where they were, because they're still, laws are different depending on what state you're in.
Salt Lake City.
I can't remember where they were. By the way, someone parked in the space next to that person, and they did not do what you asked.
I didn't ask anybody to do anything. I just said I would have thought about it. I would have considered.
I apologize. I incorrectly said that you said they should do it. You're right.
That was his name. Colte Jim just sent me on Twitter. The guy's name, the Hiller guy, his name was the Progressive Liberal. That was literally his wrestling name. And all he did was go into conservative markets and make speeches for Hillary 2016. What a great character, right? What a great heel. They interview the guy. He's like, no, not in real life. But he's like, as a character, gets me over. It's like, absolutely, I believe it. I laughed when 2.0 referred to the crowd as the AEW Galaxy. That's hilarious. That's genuinely funny. The AEW Cosmos.
Oh, well. I forgot to edit that, so I'll just have to edit it during the break itself. It is time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he will tell everyone, regale us, give us the knowledge.
Trey just made a good point. He said we could call ourselves sports entertainers.
We could.
Kind of want to now.
See, I thought that would offend you because you're a pro wrestling fan.
Yeah,
and,
no, I'd rather be a wrestler, but I am not a wrestler, so I'm a sports entertainer.
Yeah, that works for me because
Me and Ezekiel.
Elias's little brother.
Yeah.
One of my favorite wrestlers going right now. He's got skills. Not like Elias. Elias couldn't wrestle. Ezekiel, he's got skills.
He can go.
You know what? He's got even more skills than Eddie Kingston. But that's not hard. That's not difficult. All right, the first thing that's trending.
Imagine being so wrong so publicly.
But you still do well and win awards. Good for you.
Good job, Zoe.
Shaquille O'Neal is trending.
Shaqtin' a fool. What did well, the last couple nights. So there was a big conversation the other day about Chuck Barkley said Kevin Durant is, it didn't call him a failure, but basically said that he can't drive the bus, right? Like he's a great passenger. When he was with the Thunder, they didn't win a title when he was supposed to be driving the bus. He goes to Golden State. He's not driving the bus because Steph Curry is. They win a title. He leaves. He goes to Brooklyn. He's supposed to be driving the bus. They get bounced in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Said that he can't drive the bus. And Shaq was like, yeah, but no, but yeah, but no. That's not the good part of the conversation. The best part of the conversation is that to end that show, Shaq bought Chuck a bus so that Chuck would literally drive his own bus and leave.
The Chuck wagon.
Love that show.
That's not why he's trending.
Why is
though.
he trending this
He is
time,
trending because, and yes, this is the reason why I picked this as a trending topic, even though it is trending. Something that we were discussing in the NBA the other day, a couple of days ago, it might have been last week, and I said coaches don't matter in the NBA. Shaq said the same thing. Shaq said that you can't blame the coach. He's like, and so, Chuck and the other guys, well, what about Phil Jackson? He's like, Phil Jackson, didn't matter what coach was there. He's like, it was on me. If we won, it was on me. If we lost, it was on me. Had nothing to do with coaching. Shaq's absolutely right. In the NBA, the stars decide whether you win or lose. You're not drawing up plays because if the star goes, hang on, I don't like that play, I'm going to pick me.
Shaq's wrong for a different reason than he thinks he is, okay? I'm not saying the coach is important from an X's and O's perspective, right? I don't need a coach that can go over them and drop. I'd like a coach who can present ideas, and then the team can be like, yeah or no. Coaches are important from a psychology of the team perspective, right? It's a locker room thing. A coach needs to be able to have 3 or 4 if you're going to succeed, right? And I think Eric Spoelstra is the proof of that. Almost every super team since the Miami Heat trio, has failed, right? Is there a super team since LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, a genuine 3-man super team that has been successful? KD in Golden State with Steph Curry and Draymond, it's about as close as you can get. And there aren't a lot of people that say that was definitely a super team. I think they are.
Why are you leaving out Clay there? It was already a 3 there. He made it a 4.
Fair enough. So, but the point is, there have not been many super teams that have been successful since Miami did it. Eric Spoelstra strode why a coach is important because he kept the egos of Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh all on a level that they could coexist. If you don't have a coach that can get your superstars to coexist, you end up with James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. And it's a failure. And as a texter just said, wait until Philly blows a 3-0 series lead to see if the coach can be blamed. Freaking Doc Rivers.
That's who they were talking about, by the way. That's who they were talking about. And Shaq was saying it's not his fault.
Yeah. Except for it happens everywhere that he goes. It happens everywhere Doc Rivers coaches.
Maybe he's trying to coach too much and not let the players play. I don't know.
But that still matters.
Okay.
Shaq's wrong, but not for the reason Shaq thinks that he's wrong. Or thinks that he's right. I don't know. I've thought too much. Tomorrow on the show, NFL first round draft breakdown. Tell you if the Panthers come out a winner or a loser on day 1. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. Have a great day. Don't drink a job. Punch you in the face. Later, brother.